Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hi everyone. Me myself Ahmad Haris bin Abu Bakar will present about what is legitimacy theory. Legitimacy theory is a generalized perception or assumption that the action of an entity are desirable, proper, or appropriate within some socially constructed system of norms, value, belief, and definitions. It posits that business are bound by the social contract in which the firm agree to perform various socially desired actions in return for approval of its objective and other rewards, and this ultimately guarantees its continued existence. In our conception, the legitimacy theory is a mechanism that supports organization in implementing and developing voluntary social and environmental disclosures in order to fulfill their social contract that enable the recognition of their objective and the survival in a jumpy and turbulent environment. The social perception of the organization activity are reported to the expectation of the society. In the situation when the organization's activity do not respect the moral values, the organization is severely sanctioned by the society. These sanctions may even lead to the failure of the organization. The organization has to justify its existence through legitimate economical and social action that do not affect the existence of the society in which it carries on nor the environment. For the importance of legitimacy theory, the global financial crisis and the instability of the financial markets put pressure on the organization to reevaluate their value system and to emphasize the importance of legitimacy. The correlation of the tangible financial resource with the intangible legitimacy resource is important for shaping a new organizational vision. Many scholars have criticized the enhancement of the legitimacy theory, which is from Mobius in 2005 and Owen 2008. Legitimacy theory was sometimes seen only as a plausible explanation of managerial motivations, without any real effort to determine how a disclosure may or may not promote transparency and accountability towards non-capital provider stakeholder groups, and not like an instrument to be used for making viable predictions. Thus, the organization must voluntarily disclose social and environmental information in order to legitimate their legitimacy. The disclosure of information must be accompanied by concrete action realized in compliance with social and environmental norms and values. Next, the nature of the legitimacy. The abstract nature of the legitimacy makes it very difficult to discover the mechanism by which the organizations are motivated to voluntarily disclose social and environmental information. The organization often associates the symbolic representation of its image with its culture and considers that in order to attain the legitimacy, it is necessary only to improve its culture and to promote it in the external environment. The legitimacy theory has a very rich disciplinary background based on management theory, institutional theory, and stakeholders theory. Strategically speaking, the sustainability of legitimacy theory is based on the management heritage that connects the traditional norms and value with modern ethics. There are 4 communication strategies that a company may use to defend its legitimacy. Firstly, to inform and educate the relevant publics about changes within the organization. Secondly, to change the perception of the relevant publics but does not change in own behavior. And the third, to deflect attention from issues of concern to other issues. And lastly, misrepresent activities of concern to the relevant publics. In a nutshell, the crucial role of legitimacy of organizations, institutions, and society survival is motivated, unfortunately, by negative social and environmental phenomena generated by the lack of legitimacy. The legitimate literature suggests that the survival of an organization depends on its legitimation processes and on how the continuous pressure and challenge are managed. The purpose of the legitimation process is to obtain and maintain the stakeholders' approval. The strategic action will be strictly bounded by the institutional environment and by accountability requirements. Therefore, it is important to note that the long-term impact of legitimacy on the economic and financial performance of the organizations will generate many internal conflicts of multi-dimensional construct of legitimacy, which will influence the transitions from legitimacy to illegitimacy and from illegitimacy to legitimacy. Thus, the role of independent media in driving the legitimacy of the organizations will be very important only if accompanied by the other stakeholders, community and government regulators. The other studies will concern the role of the stakeholders in the manipulation of the community's perception of the organization's legitimacy. The stakeholders should act to prevent the loss of legitimacy and not destroy the image of an organization. The role of stakeholders becomes a vital one in the prevention and reduction of illegitimate risks, and the organizations will have the opportunity of a precise action at every level of legitimacy based on the evaluation and changes of the values and expectations of the society as a whole. In this context, the trust becomes an element in shaping organizational legitimacy, and it reflects the organizational behavior.